I'm Bryan Hyde, and I'm telling it like it is. It's really fashionable these days for cities across the state of Utah to pass what are called anti-discrimination ordinances. And on the surface, this sounds like a great idea. I mean, come on, who could be against, well, being against something, right? Well, there's a little bit of a problem, and it starts with our understanding of words. For instance, the word discrimination. It used to be a very admirable quality to be thought of as being a person of discriminating taste. And what that meant is you were able to actually distinguish between things as opposed to discriminate against them. But you want to be able to distinguish between a good car and a lemon, healthy dining and junk food. You see, there's no problem with being able to discriminate between things. Unfortunately, in today's society, when we discriminate between things, for instance, behavior, choices, things like that, we get accused of being against them.
The world's an imperfect place.
And that does not sit well with some people. And so in the name of civil rights, we have discrimination or anti-discrimination ordinances put forth that look to correct that problem. We want to make sure people don't think thoughts that are unkind or perhaps out of step with the mainstream.
What?
There's a real problem with this, though, and for a couple of reasons. First comes down to our understanding of the word rights. Do we even know what rights are? When we say civil rights, we usually say it actually in kind of reverent tones. Oh yes, the struggle for civil rights. But we don't distinguish between civil rights or legal rights and natural rights, and there's a world of difference between these two concepts. Natural rights actually free us from the power of the state. I hearken back to the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson in the Declaration wrote about how we hold these truths to be self-evident, that men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable, meaning unremovable, untransferable rights. Those are natural rights. They're yours and mine, whether we are under government or not. They don't come to us from government. They're given to us by God or by nature, however you want to view it. They cannot be taken from us. Legal rights, on the other hand, exist at the whim of government. They're privileges that are extended to us and therefore can be taken away depending on who's in power. So when we talk about civil rights, what we're actually talking about is government not observing rights, in other words, keeping its hands off so that we have greater freedom, but actually enforcing rights, telling us what we have to do. Observing, enforcing. There's a world of difference between the two. Because then when we talk about freedom, under natural rights with freedom, that's the freedom to pretty much do what you want to do as long as it's not infringing on someone else's natural rights. Do you want to write a book? You want to go start a school? Do whatever it is? You shouldn't have to go to the government for permission. But with legal rights, particularly civil rights, when we use that in terms of freedom, freedom actually comes to stand for a shrinking circle of things that we're still allowed to do. And therein lies the problem.
What?
The answer to discrimination, the bad kind of discrimination, is more freedom, not less freedom. Now, with that comes the understanding some people are going to make choices that are not beautiful and that are not productive, but the vast majority of people will. And people should be free to make those choices as to whom they'll associate with, who they'll rent to, even who they would serve in their businesses. If you want to put this to the test, let's put the shoe on the other foot. Let's say that there was a business owned by gays, a restaurant. Should they be forced by law to serve skinheads who come in there? How you answer that question is going to determine whether you have a good grasp of how freedom works. Look, it's either for everybody or it's not. The answer is more freedom, not less freedom.
They'll never take our freedom!
And understanding the difference between those natural rights and civil rights. I'm Bryan Hyde. I'm telling it like it is.